Okay. Hi, good morning. I am outside and I realize it's really bright, but it's the only place where I won't be bothered. So here we are. So I don't even really know where to begin with this book. I've really liked it, and the way that I've explained it to other people is giving them the idea that there's consumers and reformers trying to do two different things. And as soon as I start explaining it, I feel like everyone I'm around totally gets it, because we all are the consumers. And just the idea of education losing the importance of the content and it really being about just getting a degree, which is something that we've talked about and I know, but the way that I don't know how to say his last name, Labaree, writes about it is super easy to understand, and also, I say easy, but really clear and in what he's trying to communicate. And I'm not being clear in what I'm communicating because it is 8 in the morning. I have a flight to catch. But let's see. There's some things he said that I was really wanted to talk about, and I'm blanking. Oh, this is this is really important. He was talking about how it's not really about the content, but it's about moving kids through the system and the commonality of it all, and that we've all experienced it, and about how it's ever expanding, more and more people getting higher degrees. And I've talked about this a lot, that with my dad, about how there's a never ending increase in degree, and the idea of the super doctorate, and how in Europe people have to go back and do their defend their thesis again, or defend a different thesis or something, is extremely interesting, because it's exactly what's happening. I look all around me, and more people are having to get their master's. More and more people have to get their doctorate, and I think that's something. I think that's a problem, because I think it's good to continue your education, absolutely. But again, it is just a way, I think, to separate those who have and those who have not, because education is so deeply expensive. And he says that student loans and things will slow down people from doing that, but it won't ever stop it. And I just wonder how, if we'll move towards a place where all college is free. Because in Georgia, we have Zell or Hope or whatever. And I'm wondering if more and more colleges are going to go towards, government funded or more lottery based, so that, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Sprinkler system. That was not anticipated. Okay, anyways, so this is chaos. I'm sorry, I'm not editing this. Anyways, so if that, I think it's just another way to separate those who have and have not these degrees, because the more you have, the more degrees you can get, etc., etc. It's so deeply unfair for those who have to pay. I think it's interesting that because now high school is available to everyone, which is an awesome thing, there will be no, I feel like there's not going to be a thing such as truly equal opportunity, because there's always going to be those people who are continuing to want to get ahead, and they're going to use their money to do that. And that's kind of what he argues here. It's we have this hugely optimistic view of America that we can somehow all come together, but it's unrealistic when we actually think about the individual consumers' wants. And it's funny the way that he talks about reformers, not being able to accept the fact that they are likely going to fail, or that their theories are super subjective to or they will be subject to the consumers. At the same time, I think it's interesting that reformers also change their language in order to get the backing of a lot of consumers. So when it was talking about the standards movement, and it was talking about going from just talking about like, I don't remember what their original language is, but they originally changed, then they changed their language to, equity, something to equity, efficiency. So they were focusing on efficiency. It was a standards movement that was focused on efficiency. And then they changed the title to efficiency and equity, and then started talking about equal opportunity and kind of tapping into the civil rights and equal opportunity, like kind of language, and how that actually got so much support. And I completely see this in the No Child Left Behind. Just even the language of No Child Left Behind, it's like, oh, we care about your individual child, whereas like the whole idea of standardization was more about getting America ahead as a country, or at least that's what I see it as. I mean, obviously they kind of argued it to be more than just that, and it is more than just that, but I just think it's interesting that reformers, I mean, if I were a school reformer, I would want to read this book because it is so raw and honest that it's like actually painful, because you're taking away this idealism and you're pointing out the fact that we are constantly in this tension between what the consumers and reformers want, and this idea that, I mean, whatever social reform we want, we can just plug it into the education system and they'll do it for us, is ridiculous. But also fascinating because I think it excites people. Like, education just totally excites people because of the commonality of it. I think that and that's part of the purpose of schooling, is that we all go through it. And it's all this shared experience, but I think that's the reason there's so much like, we need to change this one thing and it's going to change all of it, and it's going to change all of the America, and the truth is that that's going to be infinitely slower than anybody could ever expect, and the way things change are actually going to be up to the consumers. I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but the really I'm getting off track. Okay, there was something else I was going to share. I did all of these markings, and obviously I was a big fan. You can't even tell, but I really did like this book. No, that's what I already said. Anyways, I like how honest he is. This writer is like kind of sarcastic, and also extremely knowledgeable. I kind of wish that the end of the last chapter was kind of like his summary, but I kind of wish he could write this book in like article form, like just like a newspaper article. Maybe he has one, but something like really short, you know, and just present his idea of this tension. This is great, but it goes into like so much history, which is fabulous if you're extremely interested in that. But for me, I'm like, I just want to know what you're thinking, you know. And he does go into the theory of each movement, and that is interesting to an extent. But I think I would want him to put this out here in an article form so that more people could read it in a quicker way. So I know I'm not saying everything that I really wanted to say, and I'm extremely long-winded. Obviously, I could talk to myself for 9 minutes, which is kind of ridiculous. But those are some of my thoughts that I will go back on and actually write something about.